My name's Marty, and I was brought up in an Irish Catholic family, and my mum actually used to say that we're as Catholic as Paddy's pigs. And by the time I was 21, I was an alcoholic. I was always boarding in local bars and hotels, and had 2 kids outside of marriage, yet I still went to church most Sundays. Around about that time, I started working at a freezing works over here in Hawke's Bay. I was a hard worker, I really was, but I was also an alcoholic. And I had to find ways of financing that. And I was what you call a compo king. I'd find creative ways of faking injuries. I'd play on sickies. I'd have sickies sometimes, and I'd find ways of getting time off work. Sometimes I'd cut myself, and I'd rub mutton fat into the wound to infect the cut. And if it healed up too fast, I would put it in a locker and smash the stitches open. Around about that time, I was lifting weights. I was a power lifter, training for a competition. And I hurt my back in the gym, but I went to work anyway to try and pass it off as a work-related injury. But as soon as I walked into the doctor's surgery, which just happened to be at the freezing works, he said, "Hey, before you say anything, I want to show you something." And he brought out a list, and he called it a blacklist. And he said, "Look, Marty, if I give you any more ACC, I could lose my contract." And basically, he said, "You're not worth it." He didn't use exactly those words, but that's what he said to me. And I just went off my nut. I got really, really angry. I had my knife in my pouch. And the argument got to a sort of a crescendo, and I was either going to put up or shut up. And I wasn't a shut up kind of a guy. And so I was probably going to stab the doctor. Anyway, a friend of mine, a union delegate, ran in between the two of us. And he said, "Marty, forget about the doctor. Go to your own locker room. Go to the locker room, get your own gear, and go to your own doctor." So I went into the locker room. And when I opened my locker, a real sense of shame just came upon me. I just started thinking about my mother and father and how they would be feeling and thinking about me if they saw what I'd just done or almost done. And I yelled out as loud as I could in their locker room, "God, I don't even know if you're real anymore, but if you are, I know you can change me. Change me, God." I needed a lift, so I looked to the right and I saw a guy sitting in a car at the side of the road. And I recognised him. He was a guy I'd gone to school with. His name was Wayne. I walked up to his car, and as I got close to his car, I realised that this guy had changed. He was just different. His hair was different. He used to have long, greasy hair. He had cold grey eyes. His eyes are still grey, but they're not cold anymore. And his face was hard. I remembered it as very hard, but now his features had somehow softened. And it kind of struck me. I said, "Wayne," when I got in his car, "Wayne, what's happened to you?" He said, "Jesus." I said, "Oh no, you're not one of them born-again Christians, are you? Because I get enough of that at work." He said, "All I know is, Marty, you and I both knew about God because we both went to a Catholic school." He said, "But now I know him personally." And he started to tell me how he became a Christian. And I prayed within myself. I prayed, not out loud, within myself. I said, "Jesus, I know you set me up. Do for me what you've done for Wayne. Change me, save me, and forgive me of my sin." And all I know is I didn't feel hugely different at first, but when I got out of that car, I remember looking up at the sky, and the sky was the bluest blue I'd ever seen in my whole life. It's like somebody had taken something off my eyes, and I'm seeing it for how it was, really was, for the first time. God was just showing me in a very, very simple way that everything was new now. But I didn't know how new until I walked into the doctor's office. I was going to lie to the doctor. I was going to do anything just so I could go and get some money, ACC, so I could get drunk. But I started to lie, and I ended up telling them the truth. I felt so guilty as I was lying. I mean, I was an accomplished liar, but now I'm feeling guilty. When I realised I told them the truth, I backtracked, and I lied again. 3 times I tried to lie, and I couldn't lie. As I started to walk down the road, I started to rejoice because I realised I didn't have to be a drunk anymore. I didn't have to be an addict anymore. I didn't have to cut myself anymore. I didn't have to fight anymore. There's a whole lot of things I didn't have to do anymore. And I was really, really excited. That was a lot of years ago. And all I know is I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I'm not an addict anymore, of any kind anymore. I've got this peace in my heart that won't go away. It's not dependent on on what's happening or what's not happening in my life. It's just there all the time, even if there's sadness around me. It's just like Wayne said. You know, I've known God, about God all my life, but now I know Him personally, and it's not until you know Him personally that you can really change, begin to change.